Ready na? Ready na ba tayo?
Yung mga guest na lang po hinihintay.
Okay, sige. Baka natin. Baka natin. Alright, so good afternoon everyone, and good afternoon to our reporters for today's lesson. Okay, so before we formally start our discussion, okay, and I believe tapos na kayo sa ating quiz. Yeah, let me double check.
Okay na po, sir.
Sige. Double check ko lang yung yung respondents natin sa quiz. It's already 1:36. Also, I already have 53 respondents from the quiz. So, I think this will be all. Okay. Fair enough. Average of 45 points. 30, 31, 30 points. Okay, sige. Close ko na yung yung quiz natin. So, mas mahabang extension na yung binigay ko sa inyo. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Alright. Close na po ang ating quiz, and then we're going to proceed with our lesson for today. Okay, so our lesson for today is lesson 2.2, preventative. Hindi preventive ha. It's preventative procedures for safety and security. Okay, so maybe nagkaroon lang ng typographical error si Ms. Redubla for this. Alright, so before we formally start, sige, Ms. Redubla, if you have time to edit the presentation. Preventative, ang sa pagkakaalam ko ha, hindi well, it's almost the same thing, but the title for lesson 2.2 is preventative procedures for safety and security. So before we formally start, I will be sending the attendance for today's lesson. So syempre, hindi naman lahat na nag-take ng exam ay papasok sa atin or makikinig sa ating discussion. So I will be sending the link for attendance. Good afternoon, sir. Sana masarap ulam nyo. May ulam ba tayo? Parang wala kaming ulam. Wait lang. One moment, I will just finishing this up.
Sir, yung attendance po namin, doon din.
Yes. 2.2. Okay. So I'll give you time to fill out the form. And I believe ready na naman ng ating mga reporters. So for today's lesson, we're going to talk about the preventative procedures for safety and security. So ano ba yung mga pwede natin gawin para i-prevent natin ang ang ating mga uh, ang ating safety and security sa ating workplace. Yan yung mga pag-uusapan natin. Okay? And the report is headed by none other than our class president, Ms. Redubla, together with her team and some of their guests for today's lesson. Na po. Sige po. Please comment present na lang po if you are done accomplishing the attendance for. Okay. Yan. Mr. Dubla. So, whenever you're ready, you may proceed with the report. Hindi ko mapindot ang attendance. Bakit? Click mo lang. Mr. Lambino.
So, good afternoon, 1HM1. Good afternoon po, sir. Also to my group mates and guests. We are the group 2.2 and we are going to discuss about our topic entitled Preventative Procedures for Safety and Security.
Okay, Ms. Redubla, pa-full screen, pa-share po ng presentation. Para malaki yung
hindi po kita, sir.
Hindi siya naka-present sa ating Gmeet.
Sige, wait.
Kita po, sir, sa akin.
Meron po sa amin, sir.
Sa amin.
Sige. Pwede pa tanggal muna ulit. And then, i-present mo na lang ulit, Ms. Rudy. Yan. Much better. Yan.
So, di ba po, from the past events, or from the past discussions rather, diba na-analyze na po natin yung mga risks, then na-identify na din po natin of what type of risk or kung ano-ano pa po. Then, the next step should be to prevent it. Para po saan or para saan natin ginagamit yung prevention. Para po para hindi na maulit yung mga ganong panganib or accident po. Then, here are the learning outcomes. First is provide safety and security information to customers, conduct appropriate safety and security checks and control procedures. Para po to sa health ng mga employees and customers, also para mabawasan yung accidents and any risks. Be proactive in routine identified risks and security breaches. A proactive security approach prevents major incidents before they happen. Preventive measures taken by a company anticipate potential situations and save the firm from experiencing a devastating events. Be vigilant for suspicious persons and abnormal situations. Matatakal po natin dito na kung kailan nyo po pwedeng pagkatiwalaan yung instinct nyo. If you are remain suspicious of that person, and if you feel threatened, you can ask for help and call security and never try na i-confront yung person. Seek help for the appropriate safety and security needs of customers. It is important to report that serious information security incident kasi even a small info lang po na hindi mo masabi ay may mga kaakibat na consequences. And pwede rin po itong pagmula ng maliit na aksidente and maaari po siyang lumaki. Inform authority of serious potential risks, safety hazards, and security breaches. Document appropriate safety and security actions. Like records showing the progress or progressive discipline to enforce safety rules, forms and checklists that shows everyone is following the safe work procedures, emergency response plans, records of drills, and any resulting of the improvements po. We have 3 questions here. Katulad lang po to nung kay Sir sa 1.1, if natatandaan niyo pa po. The first is because it is sometimes easier, cheaper, and more effective to prevent a problem that it is to solve, fix, or otherwise respond to the consequences. Anyone from the guest po na who can answer this one?
Ako po.
Okay.
False po. Because prevention is a must, so we need to do it always po.
Yes po. It's correct po. The second is top management should be tuned in to the presence of anyone who displays suspicious behavior and be on the lookout for any occurrences that could be deemed as suspicious. Anyone from the guest also po.
False po.
Bakit po false?
Kasi kahit naman sino sa guest, pwede siyang mangialam if nandun na tayo dun sa lugar na yon.
Okay. That's true po. That's correct po. The last question, security and safety inspection sheets and checklists. These are the standard documents completed on the regular basis by tour staff. From the guest po ulit.
True po.
Bakit po?
Kasi po, it is the usual form prepared to guide guest action required.
That's correct din po. These are the words to remember. The first is the situational awareness, pertains to ongoing monitoring of environment and vicinity. Next is a checklist, is a type of form usually prepared to guide the action required and ensure nothing is missed. Now, let's move on to the provision safety and security information to customers to be reported by Mr. Kandare.
Good afternoon po. Provision safety and security information to customers. An important aspect of following preventive safety and security procedures is the provision of safety and security informations to customers. First is to discharge and demonstrate compliance with legal obligations. State and federal laws prescribe standards for every industry, and in the hospitality realm, there are a number of relevant laws that service providers must follow. Laws on guest-tenant relationships, maintenance of public health through the creations of smoke-free zones and food hygiene standards apply directly to the industry. Legislation on customer safeguards such as protections from misrepresentation and false advertising, as well as disability discriminations due to of access, also affect the industry. Service providers require comprehensive knowledge of all applicable laws to effectively manage all the legal issues that arise in the course of operating their business. So why is it so important to have a compliance o pagsunod? Without a compliance function, you cannot reliably build or maintain trust with others. Trust is fostered through three elements. First is repeated interactions with another person. Second, honest communication with that person. Third, following through on commitments. The head of the organization can be confident that others are being honest in their interaction, unless the organization has adopted rules about honesty and trained people about the importance of honesty and candor. The leader cannot be confident that people are following through on commitments unless these are rules and norms that have been adopted and emphasized throughout the organization. Next is to give customers confidence in their choice of provider and what they are about to experience. Why is it so important to provide great customer service in a hotel? It wasn't long ago that travelers would book hotels without knowing much them. Without that aid of review sites and social media, most people had to make do with travel guides and hotel marketing to choose where to stay. If they had a negative experience, they probably never stay there again. And maybe tell a few people, but that would be it. Even hotels that provided good services had the luxury of making a mistake now and then without having to worry about long-term repercussions. As with everything else, the internet changed all of that. Now everyone can search online for the name of hotel, browse review sites, and ask their friends for recommendations of social media. Negative reviews about hotels can be broadcast on the internet and shared with millions of people before the hotel is even aware that something went wrong. Now more than ever, hotel customer service must provide all guests with a great experience or run the risk of some very negative attention. 7 practices to provide the best hotel customer service to your guests. First, understand who your customers. Second, make customer service easy. Third, put a heavy focus on hotel customer service training. 4, ask the right questions. 5, Make sure anyone can help guests. 6. Use omnichannel communication. 7. Body up with local offerings. Next is to inform, advise, assist, and educate the customers. Why is it so important to inform, advise, assist, and educate the customers? Because it can gain the following. First, it builds customer trust. Second, it reduces complaints. Third, enhances customers' loyalty. Next, to prove those leading the trip, tour, or the customers undertaken sufficient and relevant planning, know what is expected or going to happen, and have prepared appropriately. Traveling is a hobby most of us like to engage in. It allows us to explore novel areas of a country where we will be exposed to exciting cultures and environments that are different from the areas we live in. Experiencing new cuisines is one of the most thrilling aspects of traveling, as it truly helps you to get an insight into the natural produce and ingredients in their respective area, along with the different types of dishes that the locality enjoys. So why relevant planning is important? For example, traveling with children to entails a special risk, and you need to make sure at all times that the area that your child spends time in is safe. Our staff will commit themselves to protecting your little ones whenever they are outside their rooms. While dining at our restaurant, you should request a special baby seat which is higher than the usual chairs available so that your child can dine comfortably. And you could feed them easily. In the bedroom, you could request a cot to ensure that your children is secure while they sleep. It is essential that you take these factors into consideration before you travel, as they will make your stay more convenient, hassle-free, and most of all safe. Next is to help set the scene for the experience customers are about to have. Customer experience is one of the most important factors affecting positive customer behavior such as loyalty and personal recommendation. In the hospitality industry, customer satisfaction can provide hotel with major competitive advantages, which can directly lead to increase in profitability and growth. Why customer satisfaction is important for a hotel or restaurant? Customer satisfaction is the internal feelings of every individual, which may be satisfaction or dissatisfaction resulting from the assessment of service provided to an individual in context to customer anticipation by an organization. Next slide. Next slide. Next is to demonstrate proofs the claim made about safety and security in advertisements. Advertisements are in fact or in practice underpinned by actual or practical action. Safety and security are vital to providing quality in tourism. More than any other economic activity, the success or failure of a tourism destinations depends on being able to provide a safe and secure environment for visitors. Next is because it is always easier, cheaper, and more effective to prevent a problem than it is solve or fix or otherwise respond to the consequences. It's better to take care that a problem does not happen than to have to solve the problem afterwards. It's easier to stop something but from happening in the first place than to fix the damage after it has happened. Sabi nga sa kasabihan, prevention is better than cure. There will commonly be a pre-departure or on-departure briefing which will provide the opportunity for the tour guide or tour leader to address the following when providing safety and security information to customers. Next slide po. Distributing safety and security information through handouts or information sheets, video, DVD, signs, and or poster demonstrations and real examples. It is so important that giving a information sheets, videos, posters, demonstration, and real example about safety and security because it can prevent employees or customers from being careless or reckless when handling hazardous and dangerous objects in the workplace. In that way, they improve the safety culture in any workplace. Verbally discussing terms and conditions as it is standards for many organizations to require their sales staff or tour guides. It's crucial because terms and conditions spell out exactly what should happen in every given circumstance. They lay out the important business terms you're offering your customers and make it easier for them to grasp their obligations, rights, roles, and responsibilities. Next is advising customers to take reasonable care for their own safety and security. It is so important because as one develops self-awareness of both the mind and the body, it provides the opportunity to make changes and take control of different aspects in your life, often allowing prevention of burnout and health issues before they take hold. Ultimately, greater awareness allows an individual to transform from their inside out and positive foundation from success in life personally and professionally. Next is demonstrating safety and security practices. The most significant job is to prevent disease, injury, violence, and security hazards in the workplace. A large part of your duty as a business owner or manager is to ensure the safety and security of your employees so that they may remain productive and healthy in their workplace. Because office security keeps everyone safe, it's essential to demonstrate safe and security practices. Last is encouraging and answering questions from customers relating to safety and security. Because accurate information will expand the understanding and experience of tourists and visitors. If they are disappointed and have a negative impression of their vacation, maybe they do not have answers to their questions. The next slide will be reported by the next reporter.
Designated safety and security check. Next slide po. In relation to the requirement to conduct regular safety and security checks, the following generally applies. First is a checklist is usually prepared to guide the actions required and ensure nothing is missed. To this, it will help people stay more organized and assuring them that they will not skip any important step in the process. And also, they will know their limits. Next is the checklist may have to completed and signed as a proof the check has been undertaken. It will be the proof that they read the policies or term and regulation in a resort, hotel, or a restaurant. And they will be aware on what they need to do. Next is an attempt should be made to ensure tour group members and others see, know, these checks are being conducted, it helps to reassure them and also serves to deter problems. Like what I said earlier, when you read the checks or the term and regulation, you will know the condition. Using these checks, it will be easy to determine a suspect just in case something bad happened inside the venue. In general, checks or in short, security check is attempts to prevent any threats or potentially dangerous situation from arising or entering a venue. Security check is also protecting the hotel guests and employees against risk activities. So next slide.
In the uh, events or hotels, o saan nyo pa usually nakikita ang mga security check? Can you give examples?
Sa mall po.
Yan. Number one example is sa mga malls, di ba? Each entry point ay merong security check. Even dun sa parking, may security check yan. Kasi we don't know. Tulad nga sinabi ni Mr. Kandari kanina, prevention is better than cure. Okay? So, prevention, hindi lang yan sa health I mean, yung prevention is better than cure. Hindi lang yan sa health. Okay? Sa mga safety and securities din. Sa schools, sino nag-message nun? Sino nag-comment? Si Fornea. Mr. Fornea. Okay? Sa schools din. Diba? So, even though students will not do something bad with the school, hindi man sila magdadala ng bomba, di ba? But those people na pumapasok din ng schools, no? Yan, most importantly, yan sa mga airports natin, yan ang pinaka one of the strict and comprehensive security checking. Okay? Hindi isang beses lang i-check yung mga bagahe natin, no? In my experience, I think it's twice. No, pagpasok mo ng airport at pagpasok mo ng immigration, no? Chine-check yang mabuti. Okay? Miss Panganiban nga ba ang nagsasalita? Tama ba?
Okay.
Ayan, Miss
Okay.
Panganiban. Sige, please proceed, Miss Panganiban.
Next slide. Next is checks can be required multiple times per day. For example, morning and late afternoon, early evening, and or at night. Attention should be paid to avoiding the same day every day, so as to avoid making the checks predictable. Any idea regarding this po from the guest? Anyone? Wala, ako na lang. So, yun nga, kagaya ng sinabi ni Sir kanina, it is important kung madodouble natin yung checks natin for the better security sa atin para maging safe din. Next is to use appropriate positive interpersonal communication skills when performing these duties. Kailangan pag mag-approach tayo is maayos but hindi ma-misinterpret guest natin or kahit sino man. Huwag tayong lalapit ng basta-basta kasi baka kain nila, mananakit tayo or basta ma-misinterpret nila so possible na pag-type. Next is not to alarm tour group. Yun nga, kagaya din ng sinabi ko kanina. Dapat maayos yung pag-approach natin.
Yes.
Checks are offered.
This is one of very important aspect na kailangan nating i-consider. Okay? Where this discussion is more of the tour guiding practices. Okay? So, sabi dito, not to alarm tour tour group members. Okay? For example, okay, nasa bus kayo. Kasi I experienced being a tour guide. Although it's not that long, but I experienced being a tour guide during my college days. Okay, so um, uh, na-experience ko yun ano yan? Wait lang. That during briefing, okay, sinasabi namin niya na wag niyong i-alarmahin yung ano. Okay, may tamang procedure kung on how we handle these tour groups. Okay? Okay? So hindi porke na may suspicious person na nakita. Okay? Suspicion pa lang 'yon. Okay? Hindi yan pag kutob mo palang bomba na yun. So sabi mo may bomba, ganyan. So maalarma yung mga tour guide, yung mga tour members natin, tour group members natin. So hindi dapat natin yun isigaw agad or i-announce agad unless we are very much clear or sure about what is happening around us. Okay? Ms. Panganiban, please proceed.
Checks are often first is undertaken solo unaccompanied. Next is conducted with another employee, driver, cook, tour guide, and done by dedicated security staff. So, dapat pag nag-undertaken tayo ng security check is dapat staffs yung mag-check sa inyo. Huwag kayo basta-basta magpapacheck sa iba kasi baka manakawan kayo or something like that.
Okay, wait.
Next po. Oh. Ay, sorry. Sorry po. Opo. Sorry po. Opo. Thank you po. Example of safety and security checks. First is monitoring of customers and their actions. This is an ongoing requirement on all tips. So yun, kailangan natin i-monitor yung action ng customers natin para nga sa safety and security din ng bawat isa. Next is negative impact, that satisfaction and experience of other tour group members. So, any idea po sa guest kung ano po yung ibig sabihin ng negative impact, that satisfaction and experience of other tour group members? Sa guest po. Matawag na lang. My question is kung ano yung tingin niya sa ibig sabihin ng negative impact, that satisfaction and experience of other tour group members.
Pwede pa try. Baka kasi posible pong hindi na sila uulit sa pag-visit po ng lugar po. Or magkakaroon po sila ng negative feedback sa customer po.
Thank you po. So para po sa akin dito sa negative impact, that satisfaction and experience of other group member po is yun nga po, pag nga po sa isang lugar or sa hotel or kahit saan man po yan, pagka meron pong negative impact po doon, pag may nangyari pong hindi maganda, tas yung feedback po nun is parang mag-i-stay doon na and matatakot po yung iba na baka mangyari din po yun sa kanila when it comes to safety nila. Yun po. Yun lang naman yung para sa akin. Next is give unintended offense to others. Next one is initiate problems with local members of the public, damage the reputation of the travel tour operator whose name will be visible to local communities, prevent damage, injury, or loss. So dito naman po, when it, kunyari po sa meron po tayong isang resort po, for example, dapat po yung kasundo po natin yung mga locals doon. Parang wala pong kaaway para po maging safe din po yung surroundings natin. And ano din po, dapat po accessible po sa lahat yung magiging accessible po sa lahat yung kunyari po yung resort natin para po just in case po na may mangyari hindi maganda, mabilis po maagapan yung yung risk po na mangyayari para din po sa safety ng natin or ng mga guests po natin. Next po. So, performing regular ongoing checks, these need to be a combination of, first is physical checks, such as physical testing doors and lock, physical testing safety equipment, and visual checks on property and assets to look for sign or tampering, interference, or unauthorized interference on unauthorized use or entry to identify indication of problems, drips, leaks, rips, and tears and damages. So, para po sa safety and ng mga guests po or natin, kailangan po natin mag-physical checks po. Tingnan po natin kung may problema ba sa lock ng pinto, sa equipment, kung may problem ba dun sa pag-i-stayan natin para walang maging problema. So, next is monitoring weather and other environmental conditions. This can be required discussion with nominated locals who provide forecast and local information on formal basis. So, yun nga, kagaya din ng sinabi ko kanina, dapat meron tayong kilala dun sa locals natin para mas mabilis natin magawa yung mga bagay. And contact with head office by phone or radio. So dapat meron tayong phone or radio just in case na may mangyaring hindi maganda, mabilis tayong makakapag-respond sa mga guests natin. Accessing a website, so yun, para makikita nila yung mga kung ano bang meron doon sa example sa hotel na pinagtatrabahuhan natin, kung anong meron doon, kung yung safety ba nila is okay, kung maganda ba yung mga review nila. So the last one is visual examination of condition. So yun nga, before tayo mag-accept ng mga guests natin or ng kahit ano pa man, dapat i-check natin kung maayos ba yung pupuntahan nila para maging safe din sa atin at sa mga guests po. Next po. Ayun, patrolling perimeters. This involves foot patrols, campsite, vehicles, room and site. So yun nga, for the safety of everyone, kailangan natin mag-patrol para makita natin just in case kung may hindi ba magandang nangyayari doon, kung may problema ba. And next is investigating and responding as required. requests from tour groups, alarm, suspicious, unusual, or unexplained sound, smell, or sight. So yun, para pag may problema, mabilis natin malalaman or mabilis natin madidetermine yung problem at mabilis natin masosolve para maging safe ang lahat. Yun po. Next reporter, please proceed. Thank you.
Required safety and security control procedures. Another ongoing requirement while on tour is to ensure all established safety and security protocols are adhered to. The following need to exist to enable effective adherence to requirements. First, written policies, procedures, plans, and other protocols. When we say written policies, it is a paper-based policy principles, rules, and guidelines formulated or adopted by an organization to reach its long term. Sometimes the policies may need a legal review. Procedures. The specific method.
Okay, when you say policies, ano nga ulit yung definition mo sa policies, Miss
Ano po? A
Redubla?
paper-based policy principle po. Rules and guidelines.
Should policies be uniform, meaning my policies for company A should be the same as the policies in company B?
Sir, excuse me po sir, ano po?
When it comes to policies, dapat ba pare-parehas yung policies ng mga companies? Like for example, I have my own company and you have your own company. Should my policies aligned with your policies or hindi?
Ano po, depende po sa company kasi meron naman pong mga policy na pare-parehas po sila. Patulad po, di ba may mga company po kasi na syempre may mga magkakatulad pong company. Halimbawa pag abot ko po sa tourism, then yung company mo po is same with the others. So yung policies nyo po nagkakaparehas lang din po sila. Hindi po sila nagkakalayo. So doon po sa tinatanong, I think it's okay lang din po na magkaparehas po sila ng policy.
Okay.
Siguro it depends din po sa company or management po.
Yes. It depends on the industry that I have and depends on the industry that you have. Okay? And sometimes kahit magkaparehas din yung industry, my policies is different also. 'Di ba? Ano yung definition mo sa policies? Pakibasa po ulit, Miss Redubla.
Paper-based policy principles, kasama po yung rules and guidelines.
Rules, guidelines, and
Yes po. Sometimes po, they need legal review po.
Legal reviews. So, yan. Yung mga policies natin, sometimes magkakatulad, but most of the time, since we are, different companies have their own culture, vision, and mission. So, magkakaiba sila. So, from mission and vision pa lang, kung magkaiba na sila ng mission and vision, okay, pagdating sa policies, mag-iiba din yan. Okay? So, hindi yan palagi na parehas, eksakto. May mga magkakaroon niya ng slight difference, depends on the culture na meron ang isang company. Okay? And susunod dyan ay ang procedures. Ganon din yun. Okay? It's a written document din na sinusundan ng ating mga employees. Okay? So, do you have any definition for the procedures, Ms. Redubla?
Aside from that po, it is the a specific method, katulad po na sinasabi nyo kanina, to express the policies in action in a day-to-day operation of the organization po.
Yan. So, procedures. So, different companies has their own different procedures. Okay? Kahit sa mga for example, tour guiding. Okay? Magkakaiba yan kung ano ang mauuna. Step 1, step 2, step 3 is different from the steps that you have. Okay? For example, the 7 key steps of Jollibee when it comes to talking or taking orders of the customers is different also, or the procedure of order taking is different on how McDonald's staff are doing. Okay? Next, please.
The plans. A plan is differ from a set of procedures. In that, it is generally more specific as who will do each task and when it is to be done. It is include the specific objectives and the tasks necessary to accomplish those objectives. I have a question po kay Mr. Penunia. And why is it important to follow policies and procedures?
So I think po, it's important to make sure that your staff or your employees would really understand why the following policies and procedures is critical. Because when everyone is following policies and procedures, your organization can run smoothly and management structure and teams can operate as they're meant to. And mistake and hiccups in processes can be quickly identified and addressed. And also, it builds consistency as better quality service and a safer workplace po. Yun po.
Thank you po. Training to explain the requirements. Employers should familiarize themselves with the training requirements that apply to their employees and implement effective training programs. Minsan gumagamit din dapat tayo ng, always dapat gumagamit tayo ng mga qualified trainers. In addition, employers should document all training activities and should retain records and employee attendance that all completed trainings. It is a best practice for employers to keep documentation of all the trainings provided to demonstrate compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. Next, practice to enable implementations of practices. Any idea about this po from the guests?
Ako po. Can you repeat the question po?
The third bullet po, the practice to enable implementation of practices. Any idea about that po?
For example po, yung sa rules nga po, kailangan, or yung mga policies po, kailangan pag-aralan niyo po siya para mapatupad po yun. For example po, yung kapag sa may lindol po, di ba nagpa-practice po tayo sa school kapag may nangyari pong ganun? Kung safe ba siya or makakatulong ba siya kapag may ganong problem na naranasan po natin.
What do you call that practice that they are doing in the school?
Yung duck cover and hold po yun, sir.
Ano yung tawag din sa na yun, sa practice na yun?
Sir, hindi ko po ano. Earthquake drill po.
Yon. Kuha mo. Okay, that's earthquake drill. Okay. I think magkakaroon ng ganyan sa TMCC one of these days, on the next days na or weeks na darating. Okay. Please proceed.
Constant vigilance tour guides must maintain a situational awareness by, when we say a vigilance, it is required attentions and describe an individual state of alertness, watchfulness, and preparedness to attend to critical information that is not yet present. They need to be observing what is taking place and listening to what is happening or being said. Excuse me. Kailangan kasi when you are on tour or when you are a tour guide, kailangan natin maging alerto sa lahat ng bagay kasi kahit simpleng pangyayari, dapat nagiging observant tayo para makaiwas sa panganib. Importante din yung makinig sila sa mga nangyayari sa paligid kasi minsan dito tayo nakakasagap ng mga informations na maaari nating iwasan para hindi na po mapagmula ng problema. Next, monitoring the environment. This will help to minimize the impact of organization's activity on an environment, either to ensure compliance or para mabawasan ang mga panganib na pinsalang magiging epekto nito sa kapaligiran at para maprotektahan ang kalusugan ng mga guest and guide members. Predicting possible problems, threats, and difficulties. No matter how well you plan or kahit gaano pa tayo magplano, we can always encounter an unexpected problems, and the things we can do when pag naka-experience na tayo ng mga ganitong unexpected threats, problems, or difficulties are first to avoid as possible as we can. Kasi ito yung pinakamadaling paraan para malayo tayo sa panganib. If not, we can mitigate. Kasi pag hindi na natin siya kayang ma-avoid, kailangan gumawa na tayo ng paraan para mapagaan yung nagiging cause ng threats. And if hindi na natin kaya, yung dalawang sinabi ko na to avoid and mitigate, we need to accept the threat. But if we are accepting the threats, we need to set an alternatives. Example, noong nagka-pandemic, hindi na natin na kayang iwasan yung threats and hindi na rin natin siya nakayanang mapagaan yung naging cause niya. Though wala talaga tayong kaalam-alam na ganito kalaking problema yung naging cause niya or magiging cause niya. Hindi na natin siya napigilan, so ang ginawang paraan ng government para mabawasan yung damage is nag-lockdown. They accept the risk but they set an alternatives. Nag-lockdown, limited yung mga taong lumalabas, social distance, face mask, vaccines para lang mapabagal yung pagkalat ng virus. The last is taking action when the need to do so arises. It is never acceptable to identify the problem, threat, danger, or unacceptable situation and ignore it. Kasi hindi maganda na kung kailan nandiyan na yung problema, saka ka lang mag-iisip ng solusyon. Because how we can assess a problem kung andyan na siya mismo? Hindi na tayo makakapag-isip ng maayos. So better na bago pa dumating yung problem is alam mo na kung ano yung pwedeng maging solusyon even though hindi pa talaga siya nangyayari. Basis for implementing primary control, safety, and security procedures while on tour. The starting information, it is vital to have an accurate and complete understanding of the itinerary, including any changes which have been made or being flagged as possibly needing to occur. When we say itinerary, it means the route or a journey on tour, or propose the outline of anyone who has planned a trip would appreciate the importance of having some idea of what they plan to see and to do at their destination. Itineraries can be very helpful for the independent travelers once they arrive at their destinations para maiwasan natin yung magulat sa mga biglaang pangyayari. Numbers and details of all tour group members. Pag in case of emergency, kasi para pag in case of emergency, hindi na tayo mahirapan na makontak at ma-identify yung guest natin, or hindi natin tayo mahirapan na ma-identify sila. Plans and protocols which have been established and authorized as applicable to the tour to be conducted. In today's new normal, di ba, ano-ano ba yung mga ginawa nilang plans and protocols while traveling or bago tayo makapag-travel? Di ba, nag-create sila ng swab test, nag-required sila ng 14 days quarantine, contact tracing, para doon sa may mga nakasalumuhang nag-positive, contact tracing form, contactless payment, health declaration form, para naman doon sa mga, para malaman yung current situation or yung past na current situation ng customer from the past 14 days. Next, the roles and responsibilities, strengths and weaknesses, capabilities and experiences of any other staff who are to be part of the crew team for the trip or event. Roles and responsibilities. Ano nga ba yung dapat nating gawin o yung mga naka-assign sa bawat isa? Ano ba yung mga kakayanan ng bawat isa? Kasi importanteng malaman natin yung lakas at kahinaan ng isa't isa for our advantage, na kung may accident na mangyari, we can prevent it from our experience and skills. Mas mapapadali din kasi niya yung takbo nung tour nyo kung yung trabaho at mapapagaan yung bawat isa kapag alam natin yung kanya-kanya nating capabilities. Next is conduct a comprehensive pre-departure briefing which should highlight known and anticipated safety and security issues. First, pwede to sa panahon eh. If your event takes place outdoors, the weather will play an incredibly important role in your security operations. Kasi pag sobrang init, your attendees could be at risk of dehydration or even in heat stroke. Kung naman sobrang lamig, yung mga attendees mo, pwede silang mag-suffer from frostbite. Tapos, kung merong constant threat of storm, which could destroy equipment and pose a serious safety risk for attendees, and pwede rin to sa mga alcohol. The presence of alcohol can turn even the most masunurin at tahimik na crowd into an unruly mobs. For effective crowd management, security staff should be extra vigilant at event where alcohol is being served. Also, from the past events, isa din ito sa mga types of disturbances of your upcoming event could face. Security staff should review the incident that occurred at the past event and discuss a response plan of each of these. Protocols for preventing incident of likelihood and other severity of the consequences. Ano-ano ba yung mga dapat, mga kailangan natin palaganapin or gawin to prevent a possible accident or para maiwasan yung isang bagay na maaaring mangyari. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, pwede tayong mag-research about sa lugar na pupuntahan natin and kung ano yung mga nangyari na accidents dun sa lugar, and we can research about it kung paano natin siya mape-prevent while doon na po tayo gagawa ng mga plans or mga protocols preventing that incident na mangyari po ulit. Consequences for tour group members of failing to adhere to trip requirements and security directions given by tour team. Since we already explained kung bakit mahalagang sumunod sa mga policies and procedures, ano kaya yung pwedeng mangyari kung isa sa tour members ang hindi sumunod sa mga requirements and directions? Siyempre, una dito, maaari siyang mapahamak. Second is, maaari rin siyang makapahamak. And the last is, pwede siyang makapandamay. Kasi once na ma-delay yung tour, hindi lang siya yung magkakaroon ng problema. Nadamay niya rin yung iba doon sa pagka-delay ng tour nila. Walk the talk. It is critical to do what the group has been told to expect. This is the vital immediately as the tour commences in order to reinforce what has been stated in the briefing guides. In the briefing, guides and leader cannot afford to say one thing but do another. I want to call Mr. Molano to explain this one po.
Saan po?
Pangatlo po. Walk the talk.
It's a listed inclusion, no? Listed inclusion is listed inclusion as stated on advertisement. The itinerary are comprised from the outset
No.
when the
Excuse me. The walk
where
the talk po. Wait. Sige po, ako na lang po.
walk na talk.
When we say one thing but do another, people want a leader who can be trusted and they pay close attention inconsistencies in your words and behavior. They just don't discourage your team. It erodes their respect for you, which in turn keeps them from doing their best. Sir, yung sa dito po, yun lang po yung medyo na gets ko. Yun sa walk the talk po.
Okay, walk the talk. It's just like ano nga ba yung sa simbahan? Do what you preach. Parang ganun lang yan. Walk the talk. When you say follow, for example, in a company, I told my employees not to be late during their schedule. Okay? And then I am the one who's being late every single day. So can you say that I am walking what I told them? Or I am doing what I told them to do? Mr. Redubla?
Opo.
Yes or no?
Po. Yes po.
Yes?
No po.
Sinabi ko wag malilate tapos ako yung
I
araw-araw
know.
late?
Oh.
No. Di ba? So, ganun lang yon. Walk the talk. So, if you say something to do to your employees, to your subordinates, okay, you do it and you follow it. Okay? Para lang din yan sa simbahan. Okay? Do what you preach. Diba? Sa simbahan is not the Catholic alone, ha? The religious group in general. Okay? I am not pertaining to a particular religious group. Okay? So, pag sinasabi na ano ba? Wag kayong maging mabuti kayo sa kapwa, ganyan. Tapos yung nagpi-preach na yon, siya yung nakitaan mo nang hindi naman nakikitungo sa ibang tao or ibang kapwa, di ba? So in general generally yun yung sinasabing walk the talk, okay? So if you say something, you do it and make sure that everyone follows what you said. Okay? Daming hugot ni Mr. Forneo. Yung ang bait mo sa loob. Okay. Please proceed, Ms. Redubla.
Start the tour trip on time. This is one of the biggest causes of problems at, as it can often mean excuse me. Staff are always trying to play catch up with the if departure is delayed. Um, kasi maaari po itong mag-cause ng bad feedback sa company, lalo na po kung sila yung yung company mismo yung nagka-problema sa pagka-delay po ng tour. Shortcuts relating to checks, safety and security, and other actions are taken when the tour is running late. So, pag may mga late na tayong gawain, di ba usually we are taking shortcuts para mapadali at mapabilis tayo. But in other advice, never take the chance of carelessness action. Shortcuts are probably the biggest risk provider of all. Whatever you are doing, if you are not doing it safely, you are not doing it right. Listed inclusions as stated on the advertisement, the itinerary are compromised from the outset when the trip leaves behind schedule. Example dito is sinadelay na yung tour because of the company. Since yung company yung nagka-problema, naglagay sila or binigyan kanila ng options na i-extend yung days ng pagstay mo. Or nasa inclusions nila yung magdadagdag ng activities para mapunan yung kakulangan na nangyari sa company nila para hindi na rin magkaroon ng bad feedback yung guest doon sa company. Keep groups together. This is important to develop group cohesion. Creating a stronger sense of commitment to goals, which motivates a higher individual efforts. And for performance, group cohesion allows a group to work together through a conflict and emerge as a stronger group. Maintain contact with the tour group members and avoid delays. Working with the other enable you to pull your ideas and see problems from different perspective. Mas napapadali mo yung trabaho kapag meron kang good communications doon sa bawat tour group or sa isa't isa. If stick lang yung group nyo sa bawat isa, mas maganda yung kinakalabasan niya. And about din sa avoid delays, para to hindi magkaroon ng aberya sa lakad kasi maaari din tong pagmulan ng risk or problems or any incidents. Identify potential troubles, issues, and interpersonal problems between the participants. Example ko dito is yung sa delay. Halimbawa po, sa isang trip, tapos merong isa na delay. Tapos meron na silang isang destination na ina-cancel since delayed na nga yung trip nila. Yung mga ganong problema po, maaari silang pagmula ng mga hindi pagkakaunawan ng mga participants. So dapat, bago mangyari yung ganong problem, meron na tayong alternatives na nakahanda. Dapat yung guide member is meron na siyang alternatives na nakahanda. Next is demonstrate contact with a group to ensure a fantastic experience from their guests. It is important to be aware of the cultural differences between visitors and to know about possible sources of noise that might disturb the interaction with groups. Oversee activities and direct actions. This will involve strategic personal positioning so there is a clear line of sight. A line of sight means that the people understand where you are trying to go and what their role is helping you to get there. Do they understand the interconnected improvements that drive the strategy? Do people understand which measures they are supposed to support? In other terms, the clearer you can make the big visionary idea, the clearer you can make the path. Pag mas maliwanag yung yung role na if mas naipakita mo yung role ng isang person, paano kanya tulungan, the clearer you can align the rewards with supporting the strategy. Being able to listen and watch what is happening. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina, di ba? Para mas aware tayo sa mga nangyayari. Tulad nga nung kanina, sa pagiging observant, para makita yung possible risks. So, kailangan alerto tayo. At isa nga doon yung sinasabi ko kanina na pakikinig sa paligid mo. Kasi maaari kang makakuha ng informations at pwede mong maagapan yung mga possible na mangyari kung... Yes po. Ay. Okay po. Okay na po. Di ba, pag alerto tayo sa paligid, kasi pag nakikinig tayo sa paligid natin, nakakakuha rin tayo ng mga information. And pwede tayo, once na meron na tayo na predict na possible risks, and pwede na natin yung ma-prevent habang sa pagiging alerto mo lang po yun sa paligid. Kulang lang po sila sa fact check. Controlling access to activities. Controlling access so you can manage how to prevent an accident, kung paano may handle yung isang situations once it turns downside. O kung maaari na, akala mo okay yung isang pangyayari but bigla na lang gumulo. Once you are controlling an access, you can manage it properly po. Next, direct people as to when they can start and when they need to finish. So yung naano ko lang po dito is like iwas panganib kasi paano kung yung kung sa tour tapos meron kayong rides na sinakyan at di pa siya fully check or yung sa paligid mo, but nauna na sila since walang nag-signal kung kailan sila pwedeng magsimula. Directing them helps to prevent that possible accident. Being alert to body language and facial expressions as a key indicator of problems. Ito po yata yung sinasabi niyo po kay Erwin kanina, yung parang yung sa mga suspicious person po, even kasi mga simpleng yung mga simpleng lang po ay mga tapikan. Wait lang. Ay mga simpleng tapikan or tanguan, even sa mata, kasi once na nagsasenyasa na sila tapos nagiging suspicious ka na sa isang tao, maaari po yung mag-cause ng problema. So dapat alerto po tayo sa mga ganong tao, and we are tulad po ng sinabi ni Sir kanina, meron po dong process at isa po dun yung pagmamonitor po dun sa tao na nagiging suspicious ka na po. Trying to perceive problems, appropriate action can be taken to avoid dangers and difficulties. Trust your guts. If may napipil ka na hindi maganda or magandang nangyayari, iwasan mo na agad para hindi na siya pagmulan ng aksidente. Kasi yung sinasabi natin na curiosity can kill us. The more na mas na-curious ka sa isang bagay, mas napupunta ka sa panganib. So, hindi palagi na dapat ginagawa natin yon. If may napipil ka na hindi tama, it's better na umiwas ka na po dun sa bagay na yon. Maintaining a high visible presence. The presence of an authoritative figure can keep a people in line and prevent someone who might attempt something illegal or inappropriate from acting weird or being suspicious. Example, habang nasa tour kayo tas merong taong sunod na sunod sa'yo, once na dumikit ka sa taong ma-authority na yon or ma-authority yung presensya, pag tinignan mo yung nasa likod mo, wala na siya or wala na yung sumusunod sa'yo. Kasi nakitaan niya na medyo authoritative person to or medyo high presence yung tao. So, isa po yun sa importance ng pagiging high presence person po or authoritative person. Giving hand signals and verbal instructions. Giving hand signals and Verbal instructions, example po dito is yung mga sa cyclist or iba pang motorista. Di ba while nagra-ride sila, may mga hand signals doon na kung kailan sila babagal or kailan sila liliko, hihinto, para maiwasan yung pagkakagulo sa daan. The last bullet. Opo, sir, yun sa ano po, yung parang nangihingi po ng tulong using the palm po, yung parang i-close po yata. Opo, opo. Opo, opo, yan po. Opo. Opo. The last one po will be explained by the guest po. Anyone from the guest po?
Ako po.
Okay.
Yung intervening po, tama ba? Na-search ko po siya, ang meaning po na pakikialam po. Doon po sa an example po ni sir na yung pag manghihingi po ng tulong, kapag once po na may nakita kayo doon, kung kailangan pong mangialam, pwede po kayong mangialam para hindi po mas lumala pa po yung sitwasyon.
Ayun, so sa example na hand signal na binanggit ko kanina, well, I'm very sorry, nakamute pala yung mic ko sa live. So, sinabi na intervening, okay, when necessary and taking this action as soon as possible. So, when someone or a woman hand signaling like this, okay, it means that she or that person, okay, is under some sort of stress, harassment, or some sort of. So, a person can intervene, okay, when necessary and taking action as soon as possible. Okay, because that is very serious. So, pwedeng you can talk, just a normal question with that person hand signaling, kasi especially if they are in public, no, so they can pwedeng mag-intervene yung public okay, pwede yon. So kahit walang presence ng authority like police, barangay, or what some sort of authority, pwede yon, pwedeng makialam ang public. Okay. Another thing, yes po, sino yung nagsalita? Mantahes ba yon?
Apo.
Okay.
Yan.
Please proceed po.
Okay na po yun, sir.
Okay na ba? Ayun na ba yun? Sige.
Opo.
Alright. Next slide, please.
Provide personal protective clothing and equipment. This will include but not limited to the following. Distributing required items. Kung ano lang kasi yung kailangan, kung ano lang yung mga kailangan nila, yun lang yung dapat na ibinibigay. And checking items are safe to use and fit for purpose. Tulad nun sa mga frontliners natin ngayon, di ba kailangan well sanitize yung mga equipment na ginagamit nila at kailangan yung fit for, alin po sir? Fit for purpose? purpose. Okay. And kailangan, kung ano lang po yung nakakatulong, yun lang po yung, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, yun lang yung binibigay para sa kanila. Making sure everyone has sufficient items and they are appropriate in size. Every action, pwede siya pagmula ng anumang problema. Siyempre, ganun din sa kasuotan or sa mga sinusuot natin. Kung masyadong malaki or maliit, kung maliit sa'yo, simple to say, hindi mo siya size, pwede rin to magkaroon ng consequences may consequences pa din na ma-identify dito at maaari din siyang pagmulan ng aksidente. Tulad po nung ano ko na rin po yung sa frontliners natin, di ba napapansin po natin nung kasagsagan talaga ng COVID is balot na balot talaga sila. Kasi meron po yung dahilan kung bakit kailangan super close ng mga suot nila para hindi po, kasi medyo parang nasa high risk na po ba yung kanila. So ano na po yun? Opo. So kailangan nila yon para hindi po sila mahawa doon sa mga patient na pinupuntahan nila. Demonstrating use and or wearing of items. Dapat bago ibigay sa kanila, kailangan maituro kung paano gamitin para maiwasan yung problema. Yung tulad nga po yung sinasabi ko sa kanina na sa frontliners, kailangan mai-present po sa kanilang maayos kung paano maisuot ng tama yung sa PPE po nila, lalo na po yung doon sa mask. Checking how people have done protective clothing to make sure it is being correctly worn. Katulad lang din po ito ng sinasabi ko kanina. PPE must be done correctly in proper order before entry to the patient care or bago po pumasok doon tayo sa mga pasyente. At hindi po siya dapat na kung saan nandun ka na sa loob, saka mo lang po siya aayusin. Providing opportunities for practice. Letting learners practice using the knowledge or new knowledge and skills helps ensure they will remember and apply them. Providing opportunities to apply what they have learned to real-world problems prepares the learners to address challenges that may encounter in their work. Highlighting potential danger or risks. Para maiwasan po natin yung mga threats, risks, and problems, it is impossible kasi na to remove something you are unaware of. Once the hazard has been identified, they can be handled properly. Reducing or eliminating the risk of injury. Referring participants to local signage, directions, and additional safety, rescue equipment, or first aid emergency facilities. Typically, signage tend to serve as a few common purpose to promote, identify, provide information, or give directions, or to raise the safety awareness. Example po dito sa mga directional signage, pwede ito makatulong for a large-scale outdoor events such as festivals or places where there are multiple building or entrances. Yung mga signs na nagpo-provide informations and warnings about hazards or threats which are essential to safety, pati na rin po yung mga rescue equipments or first aid kit, yung mga directions kung paano ito, isa na po doon yung mga kit or yung mga directions doon kung paano po ito gamitin. Ensuring appropriate clothing and items are worn and used as and when required every time by everyone without exception. Dapat alam natin at minomonitor yung mga guest and member kung kailan at saan dapat nila isuot yung mga protective clothing para mabawasan yung risk na mangyari. Though, di ba nung kasagsagan pa nung COVID and parang bumaba yata tayo nun sa level 3 or basta po yung pwede na lumabas yung mga bata. Sobrang dami pong matitigas na ang daming matitigas na ulo, ang daming matitigas ang ulo na even though na meron na medyo bumaba na yung cases, but meron pa rin kasi tayong tinatawag na dapat nagsusuot pa rin po tayo ng proper na mga face mask, face shields, but that time, hindi na po nila sinusuot or kahit yung mga bata, hindi na nila sinusuotan ng face mask do kahit gumagala na sila sa labas kasi para sa kanila bumaba na yung cases. Then parang naging komportable yung mga tao na hindi, okay lang to na wag na tayo magsuot ng ganito kasi mababa na yung cases niya. So dapat minomonitor po natin yung mga members and tour guides na kung kailan po dapat isuot o kung kailan dapat gamitin yung protective clothing. Adhere to local safety and security guidelines. All tour guides and leaders must ensure they learn about and ensure compliance to tour group members with with venue-based safety and security rules and regulations. As a tourist guide kasi, dapat tayo yung mga nangangalaga sa safety ng bawat guest, lalo na sa mga lugar na pupuntahan natin. There are security threats once na humawa ka na ng maraming tao. Kapag pangit ang pag-organize mo dun sa isang tour, mas malaking problema yung pwede mong kaharapin. The main goal of the security rules is not to respond the threats or dun sa threats. Ang purpose po nito ay i-prevent ang threats para hindi mangyari. The key to a good security are preparation and vigilance. Dapat, bago pa lang mangyari yung tour, o kung saan kayong lugar pupunta, dapat nakapag-background check ka na. Kung saan prone yung lugar or prone yung lugar na yon, kung anong mga risk ang meron sa lugar na yon para maiwasan at mapaghandaan. Para hindi na rin maulit yung ganong incidents or problems. If you consider your potential threats and invest resources into countering trouble, you'll tour a safe event for your guests. Specific requirements established by individual attractions. Since pandemic has heavily affected by the tourism industry, leisure tourism is opening up in the Philippines, but travel restrictions have been put in place to control the further spread of the virus. Open na ba lahat, di ba? Open na ba lahat sila sa mga internationals and domestic travelers? Ano ba yung mga kailangan or yung mga new rules sa isang tourist attractions na yon? Ngayon po kasi may mga lugar na okay na sa kanilang wala kang PCR test pag fully vaccinated ka na or fully vaccinated na yung guest. Sa iba naman, kailangan pa din. Example po natin dito yung Baguio. It is located in the Benguet of Northern Luzon. Is a popular weekend getaway because of its cold climate, also known as the City of Pines. It is the home to family-friendly parks, cultural villages, and outdoor recreational sites. Ngayon, kailangan na niya ang kinakailangan nila, hindi ka galing doon sa mga areas na naka-ECQ, MECQ, level 4 and 5. Also, kailangan din nilang vaccinated ka pa o kung hindi man, you need to wait 72 hours para makita yung result po nung PCR test mo. The third, any idea by the guest po dito po sa third bullet?
Ako na lang po, sir. Try ko po. Dun po sa unang word sa prerequisite po, ang ibig sabihin, sorry pa, required daw po, required yung, kunwari po yung company po, required po siya na mag-provide po siya ng mga, yung guidelines po para maiwasan po yung risk po. Ayun lang. I think that is required po.
Okay, prerequisite, ibig sabihin, you can proceed to the next step unless or until you finish the step before that. That is the meaning of prerequisite. Like for example, taking the courses you are taking here in with your curriculum, there are some subjects that are prerequisite. Okay, with prerequisite. Ibig sabihin, you can't take one subject until you finish the first one. Okay, how many PEs do you have ngayon you are taking PE2, right? Am I correct?
Yes po.
Okay. So, the prerequisite of PE2 is PE1. Okay? Rhythmic something. Anong PE2 nyo ulit? Ano yung PE2 nyo? Dancing? Rhythmic activity? Something?
Rhythmic activities po.
Ayan. Yung PE1, aerobics.
Sir, mga about sa BMI. Ganun.
Ayan. So, ganun yun. So, you can take PE2 until you finish PE1. And sa mga major subjects nyo, ganun din. Okay? It's the same thing. So with this, prerequisite conditions set by external providers, carrier, and suppliers. Ibig sabihin, you have to comply with the prerequisite condition or requirements that's set by the external providers before you proceed to what you want to do. Okay? So example is that when you will be traveling abroad, okay, the prerequisite procedure is that you have to take antigen or RT-PCR test before you can enter or fly or go to the country, okay, or place that you want to be in. Okay, so that's it. And last is the in-country legislation. So with this, ganun lang din yon. Okay? So hindi ka rin pwedeng makapasok sa isang country without following their procedures, guidelines, and requirements. Okay? Understood? Makuha po ba?
Yes po.
Yes.
Okay, let's proceed.
Yes po.
Comply with the prepared plans for safety and security control. This might involve assembling of and discussing with the group at regular times every day, every morning before tour starts, evening debriefs at regular points such as on arrival at a destination.
What is the meaning of briefing and debriefing? What is the difference? Yung nakalagay, if morning before you starts is briefing. Evening after the operation is debriefing. So what is the difference? Anyone from our guests and audience? Any idea?
Try.
Sige, you can try.
Pag sinabi pong briefing, ito yung beginning po. Example po, nagbibigay po ng information sa isang bagay o nagbibigay po ng mga gagawin. And then pag sinabing deep reading po is end po or bale parang feedback po siya. Like pumunta po tayo sa isang restaurant na kumain tayo, di ba? Minsan po nagpapaliwanag po sila ito yung mabili dito sa restaurant na to, then pagkatapos po natin kumain dun sa restaurant na yon is, di ba po, minsan binibigyan po tayo ng notebook po para ilagay dun yung feedback kung masarap ba tong or okay ba yung pagkain dito, ganun po.
Okay, sige. Thank you very much, Miss Sarno, for answering. Sige, maghihintay pa din ako ng mga messages dito sa comment box natin sa live natin. Any other answer from the guests? Mr. Penunya, any thoughts? Sige, hinihintay ko lang. Binabasa ko din yung mga comments dito. Mr. Penunya?
Yung sa briefing po, yung pagbibigay po ng kunyari po mga instruction po. Tapos po sa debriefing naman po is yung kukuha ka na po ng information from someone. Yun po.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any other answer? Summarize. Yes, Miss Panganiban. Summarize.
Yung ano po sir, yung briefing po, giving information po, while yung debriefing naman po is questioning someone.
Okay. So let's read some comments from our live audience. Sabi ni Mr. Basalio, briefing po binibigyan ng information. Debriefing po is yung questioning someone. Sabi ni Miss Salimbaw, sir, yung briefing po, bago pa po gawin yung activity, kung ano pa man, yung isa naman po is feedback po. Sabi ni Miss Geronimo, briefing po, nagbibigay ng info. Yung debriefing po, you are questioning someone. Okay, when it comes to tour guiding, okay, yes, in general, it is the pag-briefing, bibigay ka ng information. Pag-debriefing, you're asking someone. But in tour guiding or in hospitality industry, okay, mostly in tour guiding, briefing is that what will happen to this tour. Yes, you're going to give some information what will happen to the tour. Ano yung itinerary natin, what comes first, saan una tayo pupunta, ano yung mga dapat gawin, okay? Ano yung mga task na dapat gawin ng mga tour guides. For example, they are the one who will hold the flag for the tour guides to follow. Okay, for example, red flag is group 1. Okay, so kailangan yung mga nasa group 1, red flag po ang hahanapin ninyo. Parang ganon. So you give them information what to do and what to expect. Okay, the itinerary, ano yung unang pupuntahan from this time, for example, from 10 to 12 or 10 to 11, o dito tayo pupunta. 11:30 to ganito, 12, or lunchtime, or to 1, ganyan. Okay? Debriefing naman po is that questioning. Yes, it's questioning what happened to your tour. Ano yung mga nangyaring nagkaroon ba ng aberya? Ano yung mga naging concern ng mga tour guides, no? Ano yung at ano pa yung mangyayari sa atin bukas? Okay? And how we will prevent this some sort of problems, challenges na experience natin within this day. Okay, sa debriefing, so magkakaroon tayo ng parang some sort of open forum to assess what happened, okay, and what should we do to prevent this from happening. Okay, that is briefing and debriefing. Okay, reviewing the process po. Okay. Okay ba tayo doon? Na-explain ko ba ng maayos? Any question? Any question from the reporters and clarification from the other members na nandito? Guests? None po. Okay, let's proceed.
verifying items provided to tour group members are correct and complete. Since we are preventing problem, threats, or any accidents nga po, we must sure to pack emergency signaling or devices. Also, we need to pack the essentials and be prepared for the minor injuries or sudden weather changes or delays. Ano-ano nga po ba yung ano-ano nga po ba yung mga sinatawag natin na essentials when we are ano ba matawag to? Yung mga dapat po natin na 'di ba meron po tayo na pag nag-aano na po sila, nag-a-announce na meron pong paparating na bagyo. Yung mga dapat po natin na ginagamit or yung mga tinatabi para sa security and safety po natin. Can you give an example? One example po from the guests. An example po sa mga essentials po na yun.
So the question is, ano ba yung mga dapat nating gawin o ihanda
Opo. Yes po.
kapag magkakaroon tayo ng, may ine-expect tayong some sort of sakuna
Yes po.
or threats? Ano daw yung mga essentials na dapat nating asikasuhin? Anyone from the guests? Oh, you can also answer. Oh, naunahan na kayo ng mga ano natin.
Food and water, yes
Emergency kit.
po. Yes.
Sige, pakibasa Miss Redubla yung mga
Food and
nandyan.
water,
Okay.
first aid kit, foods,
Flashlight, food.
damit, yes, flashlights, important papers.
Delata. Ayan, mga canned
Yes
goods
po.
natin. Pwede din yan. Ready to eat
Yes.
food.
Medicine, yes po.
Ayan. Kanina pa ni Mr. Basalio, galit na galit to sa flashlight and whistle eh. Siya yata yung medicine, very good Miss Salimbao. Ayan. Yung first aid kit, emergency kit,
Opo.
ayan. Important papers. All right. Loads.
Then, advising tour group members of issues arising and taking appropriate action to reduce threats, negative consequences, and generally optimize enjoyment and enhance safety, security, and overall trip tour experience. Dapat, pag nasa maayos na, this is not, mali pala. Ensuring valuables and property assets are appropriately showed, stored, and secured at given times and locations. Dapat, dapat nasa maayos na lugar po yung mga gamit ng mga guests at hindi po siya nakapwesto doon sa mga pansin or mga takaw tingin po sa mga magnanakaw. Also, doon po sa mga important files or mga pwede pong mabasa na mga documents, dapat po naka-stored po siya in a safety place. Advising tour group members of issues arising and taking appropriate action to reduce threats, negative consequences, and generally optimize enjoyment and enhance safety, security, and overall trip tour experience. Bago po kasi natin i-start yung tour, na pinapaliwanag po sa inyo nung tour guide na kung possible na may mahiwalay sa inyo or may mawala, dapat sinasabi na nung guide or ini-inform na po yung mga guests kung ano yung mga dapat gawin, tulad na lang po ng mga pay close attention to your surroundings and landmarks. Isa po dapat yun sa sinasabi nila. Stay calm if you get lost. Panic is your greatest enemy. Try to remember how you get to your present location. Kasi once na nagpanic ka na po, even though alam mo yung lugar or tandang-tanda mo siya, once na tinamaan ka na po ng panic, mahihirapan ka na pong i-remember or gawin po yung mga dapat mong gawin or yung tama. The third is trust your map and compass. Walk and do not walk aimlessly. Basta ka na lang pong lakad ng lakad kung saan kasi baka mas mawala ka. If you are on trail, don't leave it. Kasi meron po, alam ko po, when you are hiking, alam ko meron po yung mga parang may mga points po yun na kung saan po yung mga tour tour members po, yung mga tourist, na dapat nandun lang po sila. If you are lost and nakita mo po yung trail na ganon, better po na magstay ka na lang po dun sa lugar na yon. Kasi once na na-identify na po nila na may kulang, pwede po na possible po na balikan po nila yung mga lugar na napuntahan na po napuntahan na po ng mga members. Ano ba to? Okay. Next. Action to address the routine, identified risks and security breaches to be reported again by Mr. Kandare.
Actions to address routine identified risk and security breaches. First of all, I would like to ask a question muna po. Why safety first is important? To be answered by Mr. Mulano po.
Di ba madalas natin yan naririnig or nakikita sa mga signage ng mga construction, di ba? Safety first. O bakit daw it's important to consider the safety of the workers. Yes, Mr. Molano.
Safe and healthy workplace not only protects employees from injury and illness, but it can also reduce injury or illness costs, absenteeism, and turnover, increase productivity and quality, and boost employee morale. Furthermore, protecting workers is the moral thing to do.
Yes. In Tagalog, sa Tagalog, anong sasabi, Mr. Molano? Translate mo sa Tagalog.
Parang sinasabi po niya na
Ako na lang po, sir.
Sige, go ahead.
Sa Tagalog po yung sinabi niya.
Okay.
Sabi niya po doon, yung safety po, pinoprotektahan, kumara po nag-implement mo ng company ng rules or ng mga policies po para maiwasan yung risk. Pero protektahan po nila yung mga manggagawa nila mula po sa pinsala na possible pong mangyari. And para maiwasan din po yung sa gastos po nila. Kasi once po na lumasot po sila, possible po na pwede po sila mangutang or ganun po. Kaya iniiwasan po nila yon. Hindi lang po about sa dito. Hindi lang po yun sa physical po masaktan yung tao. Iniiwasan din po na lang gumastos na malaki po yung kumpanya po nila. Kasi meron pong iba na hindi pa. Kapag po kasi nakapinsala, nagkaroon ng kapag meron pong na-aksidente sa loob po ng company nila, yung company po nila yung sasagot doon po, di ba?
Okay, correct. That's correct. So, safety first is very important kasi, ayan, tulad nga nung, sige nga, ano yung term natin with that anything what the employees will do will be on charge or the liability of the employer. Sige, dito gusto kong yung nandito lang sa Gmeet ang sumagot. Ano yung term na yon? Ala, ang tagal. Maunahan pa kayo nasa nung nasa live natin.
Ano po yung tanong, sir?
Ano yung term na yon? That the employer is the one who's liable with the negligence or anything what happened or the employees do.
Responsible, sir.
Mhm. Nasa quiz yun kanina eh.
Insurance po.
Yung
Yeah.
vicarious liability po ba?
Yes, that's correct. That's the vicarious liability. Okay? So, even though meron na tayong mga safety protocols or mga guidelines, procedures, okay? The employers are still liable, and that is vicarious liability. The employer's liability for whatever nagawin or mangyayari sa ating mga employees. That is vicarious liability. Thank you, Ms. Benitez and Ms. Jeronimo, for answering sa ating live. Okay, let's proceed. Thank you.
When tour guides identify on tour risk and security breaches, they will be expected to implement established responses to the individual nature of the issue. First is notifying or advising tour group members of the situation. Every workplace must comply with the applicable health and safety requirements. Organizational safety and security processes can aid in the management and prevention of workplace injuries, theft, and damage. As a small business owner or a manager, you owe it to your employees and customers to keep the workplace safe. Next is providing safety and security of customers and employees on an ongoing basis. Control is important to customers' interaction because employee service productivity and service quality influences customer perceptions of service value. Organizations want long-term and mutually beneficial relationships among their employees and customers. Limiting actions of customers. It is significant because it can protect us from danger, risk, and misunderstandings that could lead to a quarrel. Because staying organized allows you to spend less time seeking for items and more time working on more important duties. You can make your team more productive by improving the flow of communication between you and your team through structure. Better communication after leads to be better outcomes. Next is controlling actions and access of group and individuals to activities, areas, vehicles, and destination. For example, one of the members has asthma. It is the group leader and di pala to. Controlling actions. Gusto pala ako dun. Preventing tour group members from engaging with activities if they are physically unsuitable, ill, or otherwise impaired. For example, one of the members has asthma. It is the group leader's responsibility to know if his or her members are physically fit by doing a physical activities. Next slide po. Removing participants from danger activities or locations if they are at risk or putting themselves in harm's way. Why is safety first important? Safety precautions and equipment can be instrumental in preventing or lessening injuries from sporting activities. The environment in which sports are played also has an impact on injuries. Also, safe practices should be an integral part of all aspects of physical education and sports, all at all ages and levels of ability. Accidents do happen as the nature physical activities leads to a greater potential risk, and these accidents can highlight the importance of safe practice. Next is removing certain people from tour if their ongoing behavior is contrary to stated or expected behavior is stipulated in terms and conditions of the trip. True, because they will only be more trouble and people might be scared and angry, and maybe they will start a fight or before leaving tell all the people that bad behavior is not allowed. Next is changing the itinerary itinerary as required by the emergent risk or security breach. For example, in the area you are going to, there is a typhoon. It is dangerous for the sake of the people. You can cancel or change the plan when you are going. Next slide po. Unsuspicious persons and abnormal situations will be reported by the next report.
Good afternoon, sir. So before po sa part po, question. What do you do if you notice suspicious activity, Miss Sarno?
Mahina po yung audio mo, Sir Corneo.
Ulit ko na lang po. I have a question po. What do you do if you notice suspicious activity, Miss Sarno?
Ano nga po ulit? Aray ko, sa tenga.
Activity.
Parang
Ang sakit sa tenga.
hindi namin Mr. Sino ba to? Fornea.
Malakas po ba, sir?
Ayan, okay, medyo okay.
Ayan na naman.
Ito sa po. Ito po yung question. What do you do if you notice suspicious activity?
What will you do if you see or experience suspicious person or activity? That's the question. Miss Sarno.
Wait lang po. If I were notice suspicious activity or a person in vicinity po, I will inform authorities in charge po in the situation immediately in order to prevent po certain accident that might happen po. Kasi pag hindi po yun naagapan agad, may posibilidad po yun na lumala at dumating yung punto na mahirapan na pong maagapan or maghanap ng rason para agapan yung bagay na yun, sir.
Okay.
Okay po.
Well said.
Next.
Mr. Cornea, medyo grounded yung earphone mo yata at hindi mapakinggan yung boses.
Okay, sorry, sir. Next po. Next slide.
So, ang di-discuss I think ni Mr. Cornea is that
Okay na po ba, sir? Malinaw na.
okay, sige. What should
Standard.
we do? Wait lang, one moment. What should we do if we experience suspicious activity?
Yes po.
Okay.
Standard procedures will exist to guide actions when on tour to investigate suspicious persons and abnormal situations. All employees should be thrown into the presence of anyone who displays suspicious behavior and be on the lookout for any occurrences that could be them as suspicious. So, pag sinabi nating suspicious behavior, so pag naririnig natin siya, so ito lagi nating naisip yung mga kahina-hinalang kilos. For example, yung stranger na pabalik-balik sa neighborhood nyo, or pwede rin yung mga sasakyan na kahina-hinala. Yun yung then pwede rin yung mga suspicious na tao ay pwede rin natin siyang ma-identify through their behavior. For example, nervousness, or kapag kinakausap mo siya, di siya makatingin ng diretso sa'yo. And usually hindi siya mapakalig, parang ganun. Then telltale signs indicators are people aimlessly floating around or loitering in an area without belonging to the group and seemingly without any good reason. So, ito naman is yung mga parang dito yung pumapasok yung nakikisawsaw ka siguro sa mga usapan or grupo ng tao na hindi naman dapat. So, tayong mga Pilipino, likas na sa atin yung nakikisawsaw tayo sa mga usapan ng iba. Yung parang ganun nga, likas. In short, wag tayong maging marites. Next page.
Okay. So, these are the indicators. Yan, yung dinidiscuss ni Mr. Fornea are the indicators that we should be aware of for suspicious behavior. Okay, yan yung mga unang-una yung mga hindi natin kakilala na pagala-gala sa area natin na alam naman natin na they are new. Okay, they are behavioring or doing something weird na hindi naman ginagawa. For example, sino ba yung tao na 5 beses magpapabalik-balik sa harap ng bahay mo, di ba? So there must be something going on. Okay? So please proceed, Mr. Fornea. I think nagiging static yung ano mo kapag may sumasabay na, so magka-quiet na lang ako. Mr. Fornea, please proceed.
Okay po. Next naman po is people who look anxious or nervous, especially when observed, spoken to, or when they have their presence acknowledged. Sabi doon, sila naman yung mga taong nababalisa or kinakabahan kapag kinakausap mo. For example, pag pinagmasdan mo sila habang nagsasalita, parang hindi sila parang hindi sila makatingin sa'yo ng diretso. Parang, in short, hindi sila confident sa sarili nila. Parang ayaw nila ng center of attraction. Next is people who look out of place. Ito daw yung mga taong wala sa sarili or yung nararamdaman nila na hindi sila belong sa particular na group or organization. Parang hindi sila sanay makipag-socialize sa ibang tao. Parang ganun po, sir. Next po is abnormal situation. So, madalas kong naririnig yung abnormal situation. Yung abnormal behavior naman ay kung saan yung mga usual things ay nag-iiba nang hindi mo naman ginagalaw. From that point, magdududa ka na lang talaga na why those things ay nandun na hindi naman yung usual spot niya. So sa ganitong situation kasi, common sense na lang yung kailangan natin, and as long as kayang mag-take ng pictures as evidence ay pwedeng gawin. And don't actions that will lead you to danger. First is doors, windows, vehicles, rooms, and luggage which are unlocked or open when they should be locked or closed. So for example po dito, once na merong taong pabalik-balik sa isang establishment or siguro mga 5 beses, yun nga, sabi nga ni sir, yung pag-iba yung kinikilos na dapat siguraduhin mong lahat ng pwede niyang pasukan is nakalock, lahat ng pwede niyang gawin or i-take So dapat lahat ng pwede niyang puntahan or pasukan, dapat yun nga nakalock yung pinto, bintana, and iba pang pwede niyang pasukan. Next is missing items including stock, materials, property, resources, equipment. So ayun nga, once na nag-succeed yung stranger sa mga ginawa niyang race, maaring yung mga importanteng things na nasa iyo, for example dito is yung mga nakatago mong pera, alahas, or yung ibang pang kayamanan. So kailangan dapat yung mga yon is nakasecure talaga sa yung bahay or sa yung kwarto. Next is items which are in wrong place or have been relocated without a reason for them being there. So ito naman is yung mga yung mga nasirang kagamitan or ari-arian. So pag may na-encounter kang ganun, dapat yung una mong gawin is tumawag ka kaagad ng yung tutulong sa iyo, yung mga trusted person tulad ng mga pulis. Next slide po. Balik pala, mali pala. Mayroon pang isa. Damage to property and equipment. Next, settings on equipment which have been altered, tampered with. Next is unexplained occurrences. Siguro ito naman yung mga hindi mo maipaliwanag na pangyayari. For example, mapapatanong ka na lang siguro sa sarili mo na bakit, paano at saan. Bakit, paano at saan na bakit nangyari itong ganito, saan nanggaling at ano pa ba, sir? Next is any circumstance reported to our guides, leaders, by members group which they deem to be strange, out of ordinary. So sabi doon, yung mga bagay na posibleng mangyari pero hindi yun yung mga inaasahan mo. For example, dito is yung lumabas kayo ng taong gusto mo pero wag ka mag-expect na magiging kayo. At the end of the day, ikaw din yung talo.
Uy!
Example ko talaga dito, sir, is yung, for example, pag nagkanda ka ng research, so meron kang ini-expect na result pero after ng survey parang nag-iiba yung outcome, parang ganun po.
Okay.
Next po is circumstances which are significantly different to expectation. Ito naman yung mga bagay na posibleng mangyari pero hindi yun yung ina-expect mo. Diba? Ayun nga po, sir, yung sinabi ko. Next slide po. In any of these cases, respondents should embrace the following concept and actions. First is use common sense. So once nasa isang situation ka, nasa panganib kang situation, gumamit ka ng common sense. Huwag kang magpanik. Kasi kung magpapanik ka, hindi ka makakaisip ng paraan kung paano ka makakaalis sa ganong situation. O gumamit ka ng utak para makapag-isip ka ng magandang idea para masolve mo kung ano man yung problema na kinakaharap mo. Next po is never ignore a situation but always avoid overacting. Unang-una, wag mong isawalang bahala ang isang situation para iwasang mag-overreact. O yung tawagin ay OA for short. Next po is think before acting. Bago ka siguro gumawa ng isang bagay, isipin mo muna kung ano yung magiging yung kalalabasan. So, wag mong gagawin yung isang bagay na ikakapahamak mo din. Dapat lagi mong tingnan kung ano yung kung ano yung ikakabuti mo at kung ano yung safe na dapat mong gawin. Next is takes note and photographs if say practical to do so to capture evidence. Notify and involve relevant others, appropriate person to advise include maybe security staff, local authorities, or any staff member. So for ano doon, so parang pag nasa nasa isang danger or may something suspicious na yung dapat mong gawin is unang-una is mag-report ka kaagad sa mga mapagkakatiwalaang tao tulad ng mga police or tumawag ka ng 911 upang mabigyan ka tayo agad ng mas mabilisang solution. Next po. That's all po, sir. And next reporter po.
Assistance to address safety and security needs from relevant personnel. When on tour, instances can occur when it becomes necessary to seek assistance from other people to help address safety and security needs. No staff member is ever expected to deal with an emergency on their own. There are always others who can help, and it is to be expected that these peoples are contacted and asked to assist as required. It is also expected that assistance is obtained as soon as possible when an emergency is identified. In practice, this means getting help immediately. Kasi po, hindi naman po lahat ng trahedya kayang masolusyonan ng mga staff. So, yung iba po, kailangan rin nila ng tulong. For example na lang po dito is kapag yung hotel na tinutuloyan ng mga nagtutour is nasunog. So, hindi naman nila kayang magawa ng solusyon yung pagkasunod na yun. So, they need the help of firefighters para po maayos yun. And yung magagawa lang po nila is ma-sure na yung mga guest po is safe. And yun po. Next po. Seeking assistance might mean calling fire department, ambulance, police, civil defense, a nominated service provider, local security company, head office or nominated 24/7 numbers dedicated to assisting those on tours, tour leaders, security staff, other guides, drivers, tour assistants. So, syempre, kung yung pagtawag natin ng tulong, depende pa rin yun sa kung anong trahedya yung nangyari. Kasi, paano kung pag nasa sunog ka tapos polis yung natawagan mo, adi wala rin namang magagawa yung mga polis, di ba? So, nagagawa kasi yun kapag nagpapanik yung isang tao. Kaya dapat, hanggang maaari, lalo na yung mga staff, kung kaya natin kumalma lang po tayo. When requesting assistance, information to provide to facilitate and response and provision of help include name of person calling, name of the company and the tour, description of the problem, emergency and request for help, location with mention, if possible, of street numbers, building, or suitable landmarks which can be used as reference points, number of people in a group, number of people impacted by the issue. Kasi dito papasok yung para mas madaling malaman kung ilan ba talaga or sino yung mga naligtas or kung may naiwan man sa loob ng sunog, mas madaling ma-identify kung ilan yan or kung sino yon. So, mas madali rin tayong matulungan nung tatawagan natin. Yan po. Next po. When making calls for assistance, always remain on the line until told to hang up by the emergency services operator. Be guided by them and their questions. They are trained in handling this situation. Try to calm down and talk in normal voice and normal pace. So, as I mentioned earlier po, yun nga po, kailangan na, lalo na yung mga staff, sila yung unang-unang kakalma kasi kung makikita ng mga guest na pati yung staff is nagpapanik na, syempre, hindi na, mas magpapanik sila kasi parang yung staff nagpapanik na nga. So, hindi parang ang dating sa kanila, no, hindi na rin alam ng mga staff kung ano yung pwedeng gawin. Kaya dapat hanggang kaya natin kumalma tayo para rin po mas maintindihan tayo ng mga tatawagan natin at mas mabilis tayong matulungan. And the next reporter is Miss Pareha.
Thank you po, Miss Shane. Serious risk, hazard, and security breaches. Serious risk, possibility of loss, injury, any risk arising from a product including those the effects of which are not immediate, calling for urgent intervention by the market supervised. Ano po dito is unexpected financial loss, damage by a flood. Hazard is a potential source of a harm or adverse health effect on the person or persons na isang dangerous. Example po is yung mga hazard symbols po like flammable, biohazard, poison, potion na makikita natin kung saan-saan. Security breaches, security violation in which sensitive, protected, or confidential any incident that results in unauthorized access. Examples of topic store staff would need to report instances such as those listed below. Unsafe damage, broken or malfunctioning equipment. Hindi ligtas o sira, hindi gumagana, nakagamitan. Halimbawa po dito is sa isang factory may machine na nasira or hindi na gumagana at hindi ligtas gamitin pero ginamit mo. May possible na mapahama ka na dapat ay nire-report mo para ma-repair or maayos ito bago gamitin. Kasi po may possible na sumabog ito or pagmula ng mas malaking problema. Loss while on tour. Isang halimbawa na po dito is yung field trip. Habang nagtutour ka is may napansin ka na isang bata na nawawala, instead na magpanic is nag-report ka para matulungan ka ng rescue or ng ibang tao. Presence of unauthorized person. Halimbawa po is may isang event tapos may nagpunta po na hindi naman kilala din nagpupumilit na pumasok. Kailangan mo muna mag-report sa manager at kumpirmahin kung papapasukin ba ito or hindi. Next po is signs of unauthorized access in relations to vehicle, venues, and sites. Sa isang party kapag may isang tao na hindi kilala or nakapasok, paghihinalaan ka kasi wala ka sa list. Pag may bisita po, or halimbawa po dun is yung unexpected person na hindi naman kilala or ibang tao na wala naman po siyang invitation card, ganun po, example. Next po. Next slide po. Destinations. Example po sa destination is yung mga hazard like pag may nakalagay na caution or under construction, you need to follow the instructions para sa safety ng bawat isa. Pag may nakalagay po na no U-turn, yung example po is na U-turn ka, yung iba po kasi mas nagpupumilit na na sundin yung mali. Next po is new tour threats which have arisen been identified since last time the tour was there. Under secured facilities po pala. Isang ari-arian na hindi pa 100% na na-determine and kulang sa security or hindi pa siya safe gamitin. New tour threats which have arisen been identified since last time the tour was there. May nangyari na po doon since pwedeng alam ng isa or pwede niyang pigilan yung ibang tao na huwag pumunta doon sa lugar na yon. For example po is yung may landslide na nangyari, gusto nila doon na mag-camping pero may nagsabi sa kanila na hindi safe doon kaya pinigilan po kayo ng tao na yon. Situations where there was a need to involve emergency services or an external provider to assist the tour in a problem situations. The first priority is always life safety. The second priority is the stabilization of the incident. There are many actions that can be taken to stabilize an incident and minimize potential damage. First aid and CPR by trained employees can save lives. Sa fire naman po, fire extinguisher by trained employees can extinguish a small fire. Containment of a small chemical and supervision of building utilities and system can minimize damage to a building and help prevent environment damage. Sheets and checklist. So, being employee in a hotel, staff are required to do the daily basis report pero hindi lahat ay gagawa ng documents. Only the assigned personnel will do such paperworks about done sa incident po. So, what are the things that need to be reported? First is security safe infection sheets and checklist. To remind employees of which areas to examine and what details are crucial for safety. So the one who will write this kind of report is assigned to get an overall look of safety procedures, behaviors, and observe within a building or a department. Internal daily summaries. This report is a common one. This is the report of everyday routine and issue that was happening in hotel or event circumstances that happen inside the hotel. Sa reports naman po, so there are 4 types of report. First is the breach report, defined as a break or violate. An example of breach is breaking a hole in the seawall. An example of breach is breaking a contract, a violation or infraction as of a contract, law, legal obligation, or promise. Sa madaling salita, or sa madaling example po, yung pag-leak ng identity ng mga naka-check-in, yun yung time na gagawa ka ng breach report kung nagkaroon ng leakage sa personal info ng mga naka-check-in or clients mo at kung may naapektuhan na din dahil sa pag-leak nun. Second po is the security report. Mainly, ang gumagawa po nito is yung mga guard, simple report about sa shift nila or mga first-hand activity na ginagawa po nila habang sila yung nakashift or kung may shifting din during na may event. A safety report naman po is a document prepared to report on specific safety incident, process, or outcome safety. Reports are the mechanism for capturing what is happening on site so that safety terms, engineers, and management can understand what's happening. And lastly po is this person was usually made to help the company collect details or information on the itinerary pagkakasunod-sunod ng plan po and can be used later on as a record or proof. Next slide po. Maintenance forms. You might refer to it as a work form and is a document that authorizes the completion of maintenance, repair, or operations work. Magagamit mo siya para mag-collect po ng mga document at i-dokumento ang isinasagawang pagpapanatili sa isang lugar. Hazard identification. For example po, is no U-turn. There's a threat pero tinuloy mo pa din so may possible na mapahamak ka dahil sa hindi pagsunod sa signage po dun sa prone area. Tour and travel logs. This contains all details about the trip po and this can be used to monitor the guests, tourists, and customers. Yun lang po. Thank you po, sir.
Alright. So we just finish on time. So please remember these uh, things to be completed whenever documenting uh, actions to be recorded for safety and security. Okay, those are the security and safety inspection sheet and checklist. Teka lang, baka nakamute na naman ako. Hindi. Okay, next is the internal daily summaries, reports, maintenance forms, hazard identification forms, and tour and travel logs. So these may need to be completed whenever we are documenting some sort of safety and security reports. Okay, so I believe the reporters discussed each and every topic that has to be done for today's lesson. Do you have any further clarification, reporters? Additional information? No more?
Sana po.
Okay. So, your report has been so intense, and very comprehensive. I think every topic ay na-discuss nyo naman ng maayos at wala namang naging question ang iba nating mga students. So I send the link for your second attendance. So please fill out that form. Also the reporters, paki-fill out po, and then yung mga guests na nandito. And sa mga students po natin na nasa live, apakagaling sir. Oh, yan. Some commendation from Mr. Basilio. Apakagaling sir. Sabi ni Mr. Basilio. And you did very well. Si Miss Redubla ba naman ang leader nyo eh. So, please comment present if you are done with the attendance. Okay. So, guys, your attendance submission ng attendance form po is very important kasi yan lang po ang pagbabasihan ko ng inyong attendance ha. Wala nang iba. Okay, of course, yung iba yung grading natin sa attendance, iba yung grading natin sa mga quizzes, okay? Recitations ninyo, most especially sa mga nagiging guest or nag-a-apply na guests sa mga reporters. And I believe Mr. Fornea, are you one of the reporters din for this
Yes po.
or guest ka?
Reporter po.
Okay, sige. Kasi nakita ko, naging guest na si Mr. Fornea. Bakit nandito pa siya? Member ka pala ng Group 2.2. Alright, so thank you very much for that very comprehensive report. Headed by Ms. Redubla. And well done. Na-explain nyo naman. So, I have a question for the reporters. Ms. Redubla, are you still with us? Nandito pa
Yes po.
Okay. So, I am thinking of, for your next activity, I'm thinking of for a quiz or a study question. So, ano kaya sa tingin mo ang pwede nating ibigay? Quiz or study questions na lang. Sa mga guest, sa mga natin, sa mga viewers natin.
Para po sa akin, sir, quiz.
Quiz
Kasi
na lang.
katong mahirap po yung case study.
Pero gusto ko yung case study kasi nakikita ko kung paano kayo mag-construct ng sentences. So nakikita ko yung mga at saka alam niyo yun para alam niyo yun para mas napapractice kayo on how you write sentences. Kaya gusto ko din yung study questions. Well, anyway, quiz. Ang dami nagsasabing quiz. Quiz na lang. Parang ayaw niyo na talaga ng ng study questions. Konti lang naman yun, 5 lang naman. lima lang. Lima lang naman. Lima lang naman yung study questions. Parang kaya nyo naman yata. Kung saan ka sir, masaya sir, pero quiz tayo. Ayos talaga to si Vener eh. Ang daming ano eh. Well, sige, if you say so. So I will be preparing quiz. So with the lesson, sige. Bahala na kung ilang items ang magagawa ko. Nakakaya English namin. Well, that will be room for improvement, no? Kapag napapractice nyo yung on how you construct sentences, because you're gonna need how you construct sentences kapag nag second year, third year, or fourth year na kayo. Kasi gagawa kayo ng thesis, gagawa kayo ng mga case studies, no? Gagawa kayo ng mga reports, gagawa kayo ng business plans. So magagamit nyo din yan. Well, anyway, pwede dalawa. Oh, iba din si Miss Benitez eh. Okay, so 2% na lang daw si Miss Laot. So thank you very much guys for attending our discussion. Okay, so see you next week, and I will just be announcing if what time ang ating magiging quiz. All right? So thank you very much again, Mr. Dubla and the rest of the team, and for the guest and to our students online. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you so much.
Thank you po.
Thank you, sir.